Are you well aware and feeling intensely in the shift that's going on this planet? It's disturbing in a way, but only because it upsets the familiar, the things that came automatically, that didn't require you pay much attention to the outer world, where you're just kind of going along on autopilot, is over. We all now have to pay attention. We are being asked to make changes. The earth changes are making us aware that we have to make different decisions. Our work environment, our communities, our family and relationship dynamics are all changing, and it's time. We have to grow. We have to shift. It's here. But are you feeling a little bit scared? Like, well, how do I know how to do this? How do I know I'm doing it right? And I don't want to do this alone. That's very important information. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone. You have a whole divine spiritual support system on standby, waiting to help you. Today, I'm going to show you how to connect to them. My name is Sonia Choquette. Thank you for showing up today. If you're just happen to be here and find me by accident or just kind of being drawn here, your higher self brought you here. Your angels and guides brought you to this opportunity to get some support. If you're returning, I'm so happy you're back, and I welcome you, because we are continuing to grow together, to work together, to evolve together through this very exciting time. So we do know there is a shift going on, and we are well aware of it, but part of our awareness is confused. Well, what exactly must I do to shift? I don't want to be left behind. I don't want to mess up. I don't want to be hurt. Big one. I don't want to hurt. I just want to feel good, and I want to feel empowered. That's the whole point of the shift. That's the goal, to evolve, to open up, to find connection, support, personal power, and the ability to have a human experience that you're actually really loving. Seems maybe far away for a lot of you, but you're not that far away. All you have to do is change the channel. So let's start by talking about what the third, fourth, fifth dimension is, because a lot of people think it's like, ooh, are we going to another planet, or are we going to lose people, or is there going to be death and destruction? I mean, it's, a lot of sci-fi movies have influenced our imagination. So let's talk about it this way. The emissaries of the third way have been working with me as a source of teacher guides that I've been channeling for most of my life, and actually wrote my first channeled book with them called Soul Lessons and Soul Purpose in 2007. They've been with me and have helped me channel all my books, and they are teaching us that the big shift is really about changing our conscious understanding of who we are and our perceptions, from those of our ego, which is a limited perception, to that of our expanded spirit, which is a glorious and powerful, beautiful connective energy that allows us to manifest as divine beings. So let me explain this in more simple terms, because that's a lot to take in. Imagine that the third dimension is like AM talk radio. AM talk radio is where you have all these different stations and loud, obnoxious people saying blah, 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 blah. This is the way it is. The way I see it is the way it is. And then a lot of people get on board with that and say, yeah, that's the way it is. But ultimately, their message is, we are separate from them. Me against you. They scare us. We have to attack them. We have to protect ourselves. We need to be afraid. And we need to fight. That is pretty much the third dimension. And it just goes on and on and on and on and on. And there are no winners, because there are no absolute ability to see the way it is from the ego. The ego is fearful. The ego is separating. The ego is isolating. The ego is basically going to perceive the world from a fearful, threatened point of view and push it away. That's why you feel funky and powerless, because you disconnect. So let's go to the fourth dimension, because we're moving to the fifth. But what is the fourth? Well, let's consider that we go from AM radio, which is a certain frequency or broadcast, to FM. Now, FM is a little bit broader, a little bit more powerful. It has more range. It has more depth. It opens things up. And the most important thing on FM radio is that it primarily goes from talk, 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 which is what the ego does in your head, to broadcasting music, which starts to pull you into your heart and into your feeling body. So let's just say we hear all kinds of different music. We hear country music, we hear classical music, we hear gospel music, we hear rock and roll, we hear rap music, we hear country, we hear folk music. Well, and we kind of gravitate and we're looking for what is my music? What speaks to, the important thing, my heart? So what we recognize is we're not in our heads anymore. We're starting to reconnect to something we disconnected from, which is our heart. And the big shift is basically the journey from head to heart, because heart is the portal that opens up and will heal the planet, heal your life, empower you to create, allow you to connect to more than your own isolated experience, and give you the ability to express and feel and receive love. So when you get into the fourth dimension, it's a search. And that's what brought you here. You're probably in the fourth dimension searching for my music or my heart-based broadcast, my frequency. So we're not talking so much about dimensions in terms of places as much as we are talking about focus, priority, where your consciousness is, where your attention lies, where your priorities are, where your values lie, what motivates you and what allows you to express. So now we are in that dimension and we're searching for what really feels empowering to us, what feels like this is me, this is my experience, this is what validates and feels true for me. So what we want to do in the fourth dimension is we're searching and we are looking for what feels good, what feels like it fits, what feels like me. And that takes us to the fifth dimension, which is that I go through that portal of feeling to the heart space, and I start to connect to a lost piece of me, which is my spirit, my divine self, my empowered, fearless self, my loving, connected, joyful self. Now, when you're in the third dimension, that does seem like another planet. I'll give you that for sure. But it's only a breath away. Now, how do we get there with some support? We, as sixth sense beings, have this heart sense, this feeling sense, this heart awareness that can guide us. We call it, some of us are very well aware, we call our inner voice. My spidey sense is something that people have been talking about that's pretty accurate because it does ripple through your entire nervous system. My gut feeling, for some, it gets a little bit deeper into the center of our being. My inner knowing, my vibes. We have words to explain this, but where we've been lacking confidence is we've been told that we only have five senses. So if I acknowledge this sixth sense, we wonder, well, does that mean I have an extra ear or a third eye sticking on my forehead or extra thumb? So we don't want to look different because that's fundamental to our need to belong or our need to be accepted. But the truth is we do have six senses. In fact, I just read it in the New York Times. Guess what? Science has recognized human beings have six senses and that the body sense can inform you. Ta-da! Finally, after all these centuries, we are acknowledging from science even, I have six senses. So don't be so worried that you might look like a weirdo to have six senses. That is the shift. That is the evolution. Now, from the fourth to the fifth, as we open this up, we can begin to connect with our guides. So today I want to talk to you about how to do that now that you understand. We're going from AM radio to FM radio. And oh, wait, let me finish. We're going to, so what's the fifth dimension? Well, let's call that satellite. That is the global, universal, unlimited broadcast of really high divine love where you begin to get downloads and You don't think and figure out. You just know when you're extraordinarily creative. In the third dimension, you do a lot of thinking, a lot of frustrating, a lot of figuring out. In the fourth dimension, you get a lot of aha and downloads and bright ideas and the urge to change and grow. Fifth dimension, one of the best benefits is you feel enormously creative. And I don't mean painting pictures, although that might be part of it. I mean bright ideas, brilliant insights, inventions, answers to purpose in life, understanding on how to heal yourself, how to create, how to manifest, how to attract. You just get it because it comes through the heart. So let's begin to ask your guides how to help you. Now, the guides exist primarily in the fourth, fifth, and frankly, we'll get to it later, much higher dimensions. They don't vibrate to ego. They vibrate to the heart, to the spirit in you. So the first thing to do to get your guides to work with you is to start you first connecting to the spirit. The spirit in you is like the radio station that can receive guidance. So start to think about the things that really reflect your spirit, the things that you love, the things that motivate you, the things that feel comfortable to you. Like, for example, some people's spirit just loves being in nature. For others, someone's spirit loves being in the excitement and the thrill of a city. For some of us, your spirit loves to communicate and speak and kind of move into an active, dynamic experience of life, where others love to listen and watch and observe. That's your spirit. For some of us, your spirit loves to experiment and try new things and travel and go into unknown places. And for others, your spirit loves to curl up in front of a fireplace or a comfy chair and read a book or doze, write music, sing. Now, our spirits are like our own personal song. This is our own personal frequency, and the spirit in you is absolutely what you're looking for. It's what you're looking to reconnect to, because that spirit then opens up to the realm of the spirit support system. That's when you start to feel connected. The first disconnect that we have to heal is from your own spirit. So we're going to work a little bit on connecting to that and beginning to bring in and channel or connect or bring in some guidance. So if you don't know anything about your spirit, what you can do is you can maybe take a piece of paper and a pencil if you have some quiet, or you can go for a walk and in a place where you feel free to talk out loud, maybe walk in the woods or walk through a park, or you can put your headphones on and hold your phone and it looks like you're talking to someone, but you're just really talking with your own spirit. And you can start asking, what do I love and what do I care about? That's a very big way to connect to your heart. And then as you answer, because it's really important that you feel this, you feel it less when you write, but really strongly when you speak, see if your heart moves. See if anything happens, like if it opens, if it feels like it's shifting, because that's how you know you're connecting with your spirit. So you just keep saying the things you love, but you're checking. You're just, do I really love that? Like, I love shopping. Well, check. It leaves me a little flat. But what I do love is beauty, which is what shopping gets me to, is to see how then your heart opens. Or I love good food. And you think, okay, I do love good food, but let's check what underneath that is going on. I love the dynamics of invention and creation and putting things together and making food and flavor and discovery of life. So you have to be a little patient, and don't worry, there's no rush. You won't miss the shift. We're all going to grow, and nobody's going to ultimately get left behind. So you want to start checking to see, do I love this? Then during the day, stop yourself periodically and ask yourself, what am I doing? What am I talking about? Where am I? Who am I with? What am I focusing on? Do I love this? Is my heart involved at all, or is it slammed shut? If your heart is slammed shut, you need to acknowledge, This is not going to get me to a higher frequency. This is not working for me. And then rather than getting frustrated and demoralized, ask yourself, what would? What would be the opposite? What would? So if you're stuck in a boring office, for example, and for some of you, the office is very exciting, but say for you, it's not. Start to call in with your own voice what you would love, because that's how your guides can help you. You start to invite them to help you by naming what you love, because what your guides want to do and what they're there for is to help move you out of fear, frustration, and isolation and move you into a connection with what you love. So you have to participate. It's a relationship. You can't just tell them to solve the problem, because that's still giving your power away. They'll help you once you decide, I'm curious. There's a kids show called Blue's Clues, an American show called Blue's Clues, where you go look for these little signs. It's kind of a detective process, but fun. And that's kind of how you want to work with your heart chakra. And now you want to work with this heart portal to find your way through the shift. What do I love? Let me start remembering. The word remember means to call back and put back in. That's like put that heart piece back in. The more you start investigating and becoming aware and pay attention to what it is that you love, even if it's not happening in your life right now, think about what you love creatively. Think about what you love to do, what makes you happy, what makes you laugh, what makes you smile, because that doesn't involve anyone else. That's you free to say, I can love from within. I don't have to wait for somebody else to come in. I can activate this internally, and then I will meet others who share that experience. For example, I had a client who said, I love to dance. She was 53 years old. She said, I love to dance. I stopped around 28 when I got my first serious job in a public school, and it was so intense, and stopped dancing. And I said, well, you can use that dance information. So I'm too old to dance. And it's like, well, is that true? Your ego's telling you that's true, but put some music on that you really love and see if that makes you change your mind. So she started listening to music in the car, and she started singing and moving on her way to work, and stopped listening to news broadcasts and started listening to music on her way home. And pretty soon that dance returned, that natural, spontaneous experience of her heart open. And before 3 months, she joined a dance community that did ecstatic dance. And she said it was so self-conscious in the beginning, but there were people of all ages there. There were people that are in their 80s, and I'm in my 50s, and then there were kids. I loved the broad community, and plus the lights were dim, the music was loud, and nobody was dancing with a partner. We were just dancing, and it was so fabulous. Well, after dancing weekly for about 6 months, she decided that she started channeling. She started getting these great downloads while she was dancing, bright inspirations to do things differently. The next thing you know, she thought, I don't love teaching this way, but I do love teaching. She quit her teaching job, became a private tutor, started working with kids, homeschooling them all over the world, and she started a dance studio for people over 50. She said, I'm happy. I'm making my payments. I'm paying my bills. I'm doing what I love. I'm still teaching. But if I hadn't done my dancing, none of this would have ever been possible. So the first level of channeling is that you just get new information, new inspiration to do things differently, and the motivation to do things differently. Has that happened to you? Have you experienced that where all of a sudden you're motivated to do something you love? And share in the comments what that is. Are you remembering an old love that is taking you back to something that really feeds your spirit and really activates that heart center? And is it giving you good ideas? Another client of mine shared that she loved to cook, but she just kind of drifted away from it and then decided, I'm going to go take a cooking class, and really immersed herself in a 2-week class with an expert out in the country. And when she came back, she said, I love cooking, but more importantly, I've been a coach for women, high executive coaches, and now What I really want to do is to start a cooking show, a home channel for women who are really very masculine during the day, but really are missing their feminine to create beauty and cooking and home. And she did it. So now she's got the best of both. But that guidance. We have this idea that Elvis is going to come through and manifest before us, but real guidance starts as just downloads bright ideas and motivations that feel so good. You cannot ignore them. So that's what we're going to focus on this week. What do you love? Can you start doing a little bit of that? And then pay attention to what inspiration and bright ideas come to you when you are re-engaging and reconnecting to what you love. This is the first connection with your guides. Do you know what your most important guide is? Your own higher self, kind of bringing you back into alignment with who you are. This shift that we are in is getting out of our fearful, unhappy, resigned, defended heads, our isolated, lonely states, our frustrated, unfulfilled lives, and back to our hearts, where we begin to remember stage one, who I am, and what I care about, what I love, and start to make that important. That's stage one in the fourth dimension, that we're not just thinking about what we need to do differently, we actually start to do it. So what I'd love for you to do is share with us, because we're all in this together, what are you actually starting to do? Reclaiming, remembering, re-engaging with what element. I have a client who decided to take guitar lessons, another who started to do karaoke. I have another who decided that she wanted to learn flower arranging, another who said, I'm going to write poetry. And the thing is, you do it for you. And it's not that that's the new job, which is how the culture has set it up, but that's the portal through which you're going to start connecting and hearing your guides, and who will take you further and further back to the path of your true nature. That's the fifth dimension. And when you are truly aligned with your true nature, you manifest quickly, you manifest easily, you never have to figure anything out. You start to settle in, the energy of your body relaxes, you make different physical choices. You don't feel so wonky, which is what we all feel a bit of right now in the fourth dimension, because we're changing stations. When you go have you ever been on a car trip where you're driving across country and you listen to AM radio for a while, and then you go into FM and you hear a lot of noise and disturbance? Well, that's why our vibration and our bodies are feeling. Can't sleep, vertigo, don't feel good, not quite grounded. We're between frequencies. It's a good sign, even if it is an unpleasant experience. So we're leveling up, and this first level is, if you go to your heart, that's the new point. That is the shift objective, is to move your consciousness from your head self to your heart self. And that heart self opens up to this glorious world. And we have guides waiting in the wings to help once we make that original choice. They can't cause you to make that choice. Your ego has to let go. So we be curious, we be creative, start to remember what I love, and then do it. It's not enough to think about it. You're still kind of you're in the early fourth dimension if you're thinking about what you love, but still talking yourself out of it. When you're thinking about what you love and you're leaning into it, you're actually starting to engage. That's the first signal that your higher self and your guides are starting to influence and reorient you to this higher shift frequency. So let's do that. Please, please, please share your comments and your experiences, and especially what has changed since you started to reclaim and reconnect to that heart self. That's the goal. That's your best self, and that will bring all the best things to you. Don't let your ego discourage you. That ego's like AM talk radio, blah, blah, blah. What I know is all there is to know. My negative attitude is all there is to experience, and the world sucks, and you suck, and we all suck, and what's the point? That's the ego. That is a dead end. Don't listen to that. What do I love? Am I doing what I love? And is what I'm doing creating beauty in me, a more beautiful experience in me. That's the point. Share your comments, share your tips. If you're new here, I'm so glad. If you like the content, please subscribe and go on this journey from the third to the fifth dimension all together with us, with me. I'm so excited that you're here. If you're not going to stick around, it's been a pleasure to have your attention for today, and I send you glorious waves of love and light, as does your higher self and guides. And we're all moving in this direction ultimately together, so whatever happens, be peaceful. We're evolving. It's a little wild ride, but it's going to a better outcome. See you soon. All my love.